Good afternoon. This is Eric with TournamentTiger, and today we're going to be doing a demonstration of how to use the scoring features that are built into TournamentTiger to score a TKO tournament. Now, TournamentTiger supports many different configurations for events. This is just one such event, and it's pretty easy to get going. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to log into TournamentTiger. You can see I'm currently just logged in as a demo user, and I'm just on the home page. By logging in with the appropriate user account that has scoring permissions, you're going to see some menu choices show up over here. And the one we're interested in today is the scoring menu, and this is right here. So I'm just going to navigate to the scoring menu. From here, we're going to be presented with a list of the various rings that have been configured for our tournament. The tournament that I'm going to be demonstrating today is Battle at the Bay. It's a TKO tournament coming up. I've configured it with some demo rings and a demo group. You know, this is not necessarily how they might do it, but for demonstration purposes today, this will work great. So I'm just going to confirm that I'm in the proper tournament. Your login may have access to more than one tournament in here, as it does, but for now, this is the correct tournament, and this is the correct group of rings that we want to score today. From this point, what we see is a box for each of the rings, and I've set this up for 7 rings. And to start with, I'm just going to go to ring 1. I'm going to pretend I am a scorekeeper that has been assigned to ring 1, and so I'm going to find ring 1, and I'm just going to hit the blue button, and go to my list of divisions in this ring. So when we get here, we'll be presented with our list of divisions in order, 101, 102 as they go down. And you can see some information about each of the divisions. In other words, 101 happens to be a demo forms division. It's TKO division code D1. We can see we've also got some black belt traditional forms divisions and some other forms divisions. But to start with, we're going to just do the demo division. And so I'm just going to click this 101 link so that I can get right into the demo division. What we see here is all the competitors that are in this division that have been registered. This particular tournament, as we see, if we can scroll down, or this particular division has been configured for placements only. So the only thing we can really do for this division is record the final placements or show the actual list of competitors, the bracket list on a TV. We'll get to the TV display in a minute, but the idea here is that this is the quickest way to just record your final placements if you're managing your tournament on paper and then you just want to get results into the tournament afterwards, so league points and stuff like that can be calculated or what have you. So in this case, it would just be, the demo division is configured such everybody gets first place. So I can go down and put first place in everybody. Like so. Everybody has to have a score or be disqualified in order to advance the bracket. What you notice is the first time we came in here, the bracket status is unscored. It says bracket is unscored, and that's because we don't have anybody that has any scores in here. If we do a partial score here, in other words, I'm going to leave some of these off and I'm going to update. We now see that the bracket has changed to in progress. What this means is we've recorded some of the results, but not all of the results. I'm going to go ahead and continue on down the list. I'm going to just assume, like as an example, I'm going to show these last 2 people, maybe they didn't show up for some reason. So rather than giving them first place, I'm going to go ahead and just mark them as disqualified or no show. And we'll go ahead and update that. Notice that our bracket status has now changed to scored. What that means is that everybody has a score, in this case a place, or they've been marked disqualified, and that the bracket can be confirmed. Our little confirm button is now enabled down here, and we can say, okay, this is good to go. Let's confirm this. Our bracket status is now changed to green. It's confirmed. This is the final state. And for a bracket to be confirmed, that means a couple of things. One, if you're awarding league points, a bracket has to be confirmed for the league points to be calculated. So in this case, demo divisions don't qualify for league points, but just so you know, all divisions work this way. So it has to be confirmed. If you're using awards, TournamentTiger has an award system, so you can print award certificates. Brackets have to be confirmed in order for award certificates to be printed. And if you're using some of the other features like the holding area management and things like that, they key off of this bracket status so that you can track your tournament and stuff. So as a scorekeeper, it's really important to make sure that you're managing your brackets properly and getting them all the scores put in and all confirmed. That's the goal, is to ultimately get all your divisions into this confirmed status. Okay, so that's the basic scoring of how to do just, final placements only recording of the scores. No TV displays or anything like that. That's the super simple, straightforward way. And it's the way that TKO tournaments have been doing it historically inside TournamentTiger. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show how to use the TV system. So if you have a TV or a monitor at your ring and you want to set a laptop up at a ring, you can use some optional features like the TV display. And what I'm going to do now, since I don't really have two screens to show you in this screen share, I'm just going to split my screen. The left side will be screen 1 and the right side will be screen 2, and that will suffice to kind of show you what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn the TV display on, and you'll notice that a pop-up window comes up. And the very first time you do this, you may get a pop-up blocked message in your browser, and you may have to allow pop-ups and do it again. But generally, that's only the very first time. I've done this many times, so I didn't get that message. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to split my screen here by dragging this over so that we can kind of see two things here. So if I position this about there and that about there, that should about do it. And so again, remember that what we're actually seeing, what's on the right side here would generally be on a second display, and you would normally, have that TV or something hooked up, and you would grab this window and you would drag it off onto the other window. Since I only have one screen, we're just going to put it right here and pretend for the time being. Okay, so here's the blank window. It's all set up, ready to go. Normally, if this was on a second TV display, I would use the F11 key, make it go full screen like this, so that, we don't have any window borders or anything like that. But again, since this is a demonstration and I have to split my screen, I can't run that way. So I'm going to hit F11 again and put it back in window mode so that we can see what's going on. Again, that's the F11 key. Most browsers work that way. If you need some help getting this TV set up here, right here under display help, there's some tips. You can expand this out, and it's got a bunch of information for how to actually set up a secondary display and things like that. So just know that that's there. So we have our TV display all set up. The TournamentTiger logo is ready to go. So that means our TV screen is all configured and set. Now, at this point, it's just going to be a matter of displaying the appropriate content on that TV, and TournamentTiger will do that automatically for the most part. In this case, as we come in, we've already got our standings. We put all of our placements in. We've confirmed our bracket. Now maybe we just want to show all the competitors. So rather than having a blank display, why don't we show the standings? So we're going to hit standings, and we can see, let's see, I didn't do a great job of sizing this window. Let me size this just a little differently so we can see it all. There we go. Maybe do that. There we go. Okay, so you can see the TV display is cycling through all of the competitors. In this case, it takes 4 pages to get everybody, because we have 13 people in this division. But it's going to show everybody's results. And in this case, again, everybody got first place, and that's just going to cycle through on the TV. And it'll just continue doing that as long as you stay on this screen. But for demonstration purposes, now what we want to do is let's move on to another bracket, something that's a little more complicated than the demo division where you're just recording final placements. So as a scorekeeper, I'm going to go back to my list of brackets by clicking this brackets link. And we can see Division 101 has been confirmed. This little green status lets you know. And so I would go on to Division 102. Notice the TV display is still showing results, and it will until we move into the next division. So when I click 102, which is the Black Belt Traditional Forms, BT2, it will automatically move into the bracket display to show all the competitors. This particular division has 2 people, in it. It's showing their photos and their names. And so at this point, you can make sure that you've got the right competitors ready in the ring to go. You know, whoever's managing the ring, the head referee or ring manager, can double check the competitors' names and make sure that everyone's ready to go. And when you're ready to have that first competitor come out and start, as a scorekeeper, you'll be watching for that command to go ahead and initiate that first competitor. We're going to switch the TV display to the current participant. So we want to do just a single participant. So if I switch this over to here, it's automatically going to select the first participant that isn't scored. And we can see what's showing up here is the first competitor, Lane. And again, what's on the left is what would be like on the laptop that the scorekeeper is seeing. And what's on the right is what's showing on the TV display. And they're often facing different directions, so the person running the computer can't really see what's over here, but they can always see what's going on here. And they know that this is the competitor that's on the TV. It's also kind of highlighted in green so that you can see it here as well to let you know. You can navigate competitors using these buttons forward and back, right? As we cycle through the competitors, you can see the TV display is changing based on the competitor that we have selected, as is the highlight color, right? The little green highlight is indicating the active competitor. We also have an automatic button that you can hit. That's, if you have a division with a lot of competitors, this is sometimes helpful. It'll just automatically find the next likely candidate. And what it does is it searches for the first person who is either partially scored, or maybe they're the one who's next up. They haven't been scored. But if you just hit this auto button, it'll automatically navigate to the first person for you. So that's a helpful tip. You don't have to use it, but it's there. So for TKO tournaments, the way you guys score, as I understand, is that everybody comes out and does their performance. Nobody sees the scores. The judges track the scores behind the scenes for the entire bracket. And then once everybody has been scored, you call them back out and do the scores. Additionally, you'll notice that we have no timers here. Your forms divisions, as I've been told, do not use timers. We could have a timer for these, but in this case, I've configured it for no timer. So what we would do is when it's time to report the scores for Lane, we would make sure he's the active competitor. We call him out. He's in the ring. We're going to give him his scores. So you'll be keying in your scores that the judges gave you. And again, these scores have been configured to allow a range of 9.0 to 9.9. So as I understand it, I think first, second, and third place are always awarded like higher scores. So maybe this guy felt like he was in first, so 9.9. This judge was a 9.7, and maybe this judge was 9.8. Okay, and so now what we need to do is we need to update the display. Notice as I'm typing these scores, nothing is showing on the TV. The boxes have turned yellow. The update button has turned yellow. That's letting you know that you have changes that have not been saved. So we're going to go ahead and save those changes so the TV display can update. Now there's two ways to do it. I can just type the score, type the score, type the score, and hit enter, and it will save. Or I could also just click the update button. Both work just fine. So as you notice, after I updated the scores, it went ahead and totaled the scores. The TV display updated for you, so you can see the scores for Lane. You would, everyone would cheer, "Oh, such a great job." Pull out the next competitor, right? Gabrielle is up next. So we pull her out. We're going to advance the TV up to Gabrielle so that we know who's next. Again, repeat the process of the scores. 9.7, whatever. I'm just going to key some scores fairly quickly. Enter to update, and it totals her scores. 2.8 or 28.8 is showing on the TV. Notice that she was the last competitor, so our bracket status moved to scored. Our confirm button has become active. We're still showing the scores for Gabrielle. So at this point, this is your last chance to go ahead and double check, make sure that you've keyed your scores correctly. Notice that the scorekeeper can see the places. They can see the final scores and the places that were awarded. This is not showing on the TV yet. And it will show when you confirm the division, or if you specifically select the bracket, it will do that. But what we want to do is just check to make sure the scores are good, and go ahead and confirm the division. It's now moved to the green status. We're confirmed, and the TV will just automatically start displaying who got first place, who got second place, so on and so forth. All right. And so now you'll notice there's some additional things in here which currently you guys aren't taking advantage of. It shows high score, low score. TournamentTiger can be used to automatically average scores, throw out the high and low scores, add them back into break ties. There's lots of different ways we can configure it, but for right now, it's mostly just informational because of the way that you guys do the scoring. So let's just move on to the next bracket. As the TV is displaying the placements, we're going to go ahead and navigate up to the next division, 103. So we've done 101, 102. We're just going to go down the list and hit 103. As soon as we go into 103, the TV will update. And again, we're showing the bracket list with the list of competitors that should be competing in this division. And you're just going to continue to repeat this process until you're done. I won't go through another forms division because it was just like the last one. So if we go back to our bracket list here, let's find an event that's maybe a little bit different, right? Because we have demo, traditional forms, all of these different forms events are scored pretty much the same way. So it's going to be the same. Let's say that you have to run a division that's not in your ring. Maybe you're ring 1, but ring 2 is getting behind. And so they send you somebody who would normally be in ring 2. Well, we can quickly switch rings on our Scorekeeper up here. We have buttons up here for each of the rings that are set up. We're currently in ring 1. I'm just going to quickly switch to ring 2. I can see maybe somebody sent me the Team Kata division 206 to do. So I'm going to just jump right to Team Kata. Boom, 206. Again, brackets set up and display the team names in this case and the photo of whoever designated themselves as team captain. So this shows up. And you would just, again, repeat the process. When you've got your team ready to perform, go ahead and call up the current team. They come out, they perform. You advance to the next team. They come out, they perform. Let's go back to the first team, and we're going to announce scores. We got scores for the team event. 9.9, 9.7, and 9.6, maybe, whatever the scores are. Enter so that we can see on the TV display what that team score was. Let's advance to the next one and repeat the process. 9.3, 9.5, 9.4, 9. And if I try to mistype a score, maybe I meant to do 9.9 and I typed 99. Notice you're going to, initially you'll just get a red box saying that there's something wrong here. That just lets you know you typed something wrong. If you actually try to save it with a wrong value, it will come up and give you an error message, and it will tell you what the score should be, right? In this case, this event has been configured for scores between 9.0 and 9.9. So let's go ahead and correct his score to a 9.9 and update. And we've now got our placements calculated over here. We're showing the score for Monster Kids. We confirm the division. And boom, placements are shown. Really straightforward and simple, right? Okay, let's talk about the plus minus column, because this could be useful in some cases. So if we go back to brackets, I'm going to do maybe traditional weapons. I'm just going to pick another division. And if after competing, I'm just going to go ahead and set up a tie situation here. 9.8, 9.7. Notice I'm going to go ahead and just key the scores for everybody in one shot, and just to make the demonstration a little quicker. You can do that. If you do that, obviously the scores won't show up on the TV. If you update everybody's scores and hit enter, it'll just go straight to showing the placements. But it's an option. You can do that. Notice we have a tie for first place. And so, based on whatever your tiebreaker rules are for your event, they vary by event. In the case of a forms event, maybe you have them come out and perform the event again, and you rejudge them, rekey the scores. Whatever your tiebreaker event is, at some point you're going to have to break that tie, right? and maybe the tie can't be broken by regular scores. Maybe it's some other criteria, like, you know, the youngest kid wins, or the tallest kid wins, or shortest kid, right? There's, depending on the kind of event, lots of different criteria can dictate how you break a tie. This plus minus column is just the general way that you can do that. And in forms events, if I wanted to break the tie and maybe give Lakota the advantage, I'm just going to add an extra 100th of a point to their score to break the tie in the plus minus column. That breaks the tie. We get our first place and our second place. And that's a simple way to use just this generic plus minus column to override and get the placements to be where you want. Sometimes the plus minus column can be used for tracking penalties. You know, like in demo team events, maybe if somebody steps off the mat, there might be a penalty for doing so. You know, there's lots of different reasons why you might assess penalty points or something, or deductions. So if you need to do that, you can also use the plus minus column for that. So that's how that works. Just a general purpose plus minus column. We'll go ahead and confirm that division. And that's all the forms events. And so the forms events work pretty much the same as any of the other events other than sparring. So if we're going to take a look at the single elimination style events next, which would be like sparring or stick combats and things like that. But this handles all of the forms events. If you're doing breaking, like a creative breaking or something like that, they're generally very similar to that. But let's move on to ring 3. The sparring stuff. In this demo division, I put all of the sparring divisions in ring 3. So we're going to switch to ring 3. And I'm just going to go to the first division, 301, which happens to be US 1 sparring event. Okay. So we've got 4 competitors in this single elimination event. Really nice. It's a nice even bracket. Nobody has buys. It's great. What you're going to see here first, again, just like all the other events, the TV is going to default to showing the list of competitors, the bracket list, until you're ready to call your first match. When you're ready to call your first match, just switch the TV to current participant, and automatically the screen will select the first match, right? So Scott and Aaron are the first up. And notice that the participant is now showing both competitors' names, 1 and 2, right? Sparring is 2 competitors. We can advance through the matches just like forms events, just by cycling this through. And we can advance. So we can do matches out of order if you need to. But we'll go ahead and do the happy path and do Scott and Aaron first. There's some changes here that you should pay attention to. We've configured sparring to do live scoring. What that means is the TV display will automatically update as scores are entered. And so it's kind of like a scoreboard, an electronic scoreboard, if you will. We have some time here, and timers set up as well. We've got 2-minute regulation timers set up as a default for this event. You can also override it and do your own manual time if you need to do something out of the ordinary. But by default, this event was set up for 2 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to wait for the fight command, Sijak in Taekwondo terms, and TKO. I'm not sure what your command is, but wait for the referee to start the event, and boom, just hit the start timer event. Notice that the scorekeeper can watch the timer on their screen here, as well as it's on the TV screen over here. So the referee and competitors and the spectators and whatnot, they can all see that. In point sparring, generally what you're going to have is points awarded and then time stopped, right? So rather than a continuous sparring event where you're just going to let the time keep running and just score points. The scoring works pretty much the same in both cases. The only difference is whether you're going to stop the timer before you put the points in or not. So let's say somebody scored a point, blue scored a point, a 2 point. So boom, I hit it. Bring them back to the ring. You're going to wait for the start command. Boom, they start. They go again. Red scores a point. Stop. They got a +1. We're going to score a point, right? Notice the TV display is updating automatically. So this is how you might use this setup for a typical point sparring match where time stops every time somebody scores a point. If it was a continuous sparring match, you can do it like this. You can start the timer, and as you hit these buttons, as you watch for the signals from the referee to call out the points, if you just hit the buttons, right? The points just go up automatically. TV displays, so it's live as those points go up. So in this case, I think you guys go first to 7. So in this case, it looks like blue won. We stop, and notice again, I haven't saved anything. Our boxes are yellow. Our update button is yellow. That's our indication that we have unsaved changes. None of this has been committed. So if you just close the browser, these changes will get lost. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and update to save those changes of that match. And we'll notice that we now have our winners and losers have been designated for this match. And so it's time to move on to the next match. So we'll go ahead and we can either just hit the auto button or advance next. I'm going to just hit auto and it'll find the next match. In this case, it's match 2. We're in round 1, match 2. So we'd have the next competitors up. Boom, boom. They'd fight, start, da-da-da-da. Whoever's first to 7, let's do that. I'm going to fast forward ahead. Okay. So we have Ivan advancing. He got to 7. And if I go back to round 1, match 1, we have Scott advancing, right? So Scott advances and Ivan advances. And notice that now, this round, all of the matches are scored. We have our winners and losers for all of the matches. So we can now advance to the next round in our single elimination bracket. This is not enabled until you've done that. So we're going to go ahead and hit next round. It's going to take the winners, pull them into the next bracket. We've got Scott and Ivan fighting for first and second place. So let's go ahead and call them out, activate it. Again, go through the scoring, start your timer, do your scores as necessary. I'm going to fast forward it, and I'm just going to say he got 7 and he got 5. Notice that even in the live scoring event, if I just want to manually type scores in, as soon as I leave off of this box, it updates, right? So I can be typing in here, and it's not changing as I type. But if I type and hover off or enter, then we'll get our score updates. So I'm going to set up 5, 6. Let's not do that. So 6 and 7. Enter. We saved our scores. We've got our first and second place finishers. Our bracket is scored, meaning everybody has been scored. We don't have a next round because that's as far as we need to go for a 4-person bracket. We can go back to previous rounds and double check that we got everything right and advance forward and back in our rounds, double check, confirm all of our stuff's right. And let's confirm our division. Once we know it's right, we'll confirm it and we'll see in traditional single elimination fashion, we've got our first and second place and 2 third places, right? So that's our single elimination bracket sheets, or single elimination events. That's how they work. It's pretty straightforward. When it's time to do the next division, let's go back to brackets and find another division here. And I want to find a division that has an odd number of people, so I can just show you what buys might look like in a single elimination. So right now I'm looking at just the regular line brackets with no details. If I switch to the detailed view, I get a similar list, except I now get to see everybody who's in there, and so I can quickly go down the list and find an odd bracket. So like this 302, for example, we've got 5 people in here. A 5-person bracket means there's going to be 3 buys and 1 match. So these first 2 people will fight, and the last 3 people will get a buy. So that's a perfect example of what I want to show. So let's go ahead and score 302. Here we can see we've got round 1, match 1. These guys are up. Let's call them out. They fight. We've got our scores. First to 7. We update. Our next competitor has a buy. They're a single person. No need to do anything. It automatically knows they got a buy. And you can advance them through and show them on the screen if you'd like. As we advance through, we can see, each one. And we're just going to automatically go to the next round. Now we're down to an even number. The buys are gone and everything is happy. So we're just going to go ahead and get our current participant up and ready to go, whoever that might be. Maybe it's match 2. We're going to start out of order this time. We'll do match 2 first, score this. Okay, and then we'll go back to match 1 and score that. And we've now got our next round. So we now have the third round. This is for first and second place. We'll go ahead and score these guys. And now I can confirm my bracket and get my final placements. So first, second, 2/3, and a 4th in this case. And notice that, again, the TV's displaying it as it's going off. So pretty straightforward. It's really simple, I think, to use the scoring and stuff like that. And again, this is just a very quick demo of one way that this system can be configured. There are many ways to configure it, but this should suffice for, I think, most TKO tournaments. So.